He opened his laptop and found that Microsoft had shut down his email account because the President of the United States signed a sanctions order and Microsoft, as an American company, simply had to comply. In May 2025, the chief prosecutor of the International Criminal Court, the man responsible for investigating war crimes, faced this scenario. Not because he broke any rules, not because of a security breach. If the United States can cut off the chief prosecutor of an international court from his own email, what can it do to European governments and leaders? What can it do to the 40 million civil servants across the EU who use Microsoft 365 every single day? So today, even if Microsoft creates a new platform and guarantee European data sovereignty, the fundamental problem that a European flag on a data center does not solve. The US Cloud Act does not go away. A US court order still reaches into the server rooms in Frankfurt. Every European procurement officer now knows that. That is the question Europe is now responding out loud. And Europe launched EuroOffice on June 9th. A coalition of European technology companies just announced the launch of EuroOffice, a sovereign open source replacement for Microsoft 365. Built in Europe, governed in Europe, and stored in Europe. Now I know what you might be thinking. Productivity software, that doesn't sound like a geopolitical story. But here's the thing. Productivity software is the layer that touches every single government employee, every teacher, every researcher, every public servant, every student in Europe, every single day. And unlike a lot of the big digital sovereignty projects that are still being planned in Europe, this one is on and successful on June 9th. Please drop a comment below. Are you already using open source tools like EuroOffice? I'm responding to each comment with my own analysis and thoughts. So what exactly is EuroOffice and where can you download it? It is a suite of web-based editors, documents, spreadsheets, presentations with real-time collaboration built in. The same core functionality that has made Microsoft 365 the default inside European governments and universities. It's built on a fork of OnlyOffice, an open source office platform. It supports Microsoft file formats like DocX, PPTX, XLSX, as well as the open document format. The interface is intentionally designed to feel familiar. If you know where the bold button is in Word, you already know where it is in EuroOffice. Despite all these similarities and easiness, I have still created a completely free complete tutorial, which you can find it on my YouTube channel. The companies behind it include Ionos, Mixcloud, Europax, XWiki, Open Project, Sovereign Tech Funds, and many others, a coalition of European cloud collaborations and open source firms that together cover hosting, file management, project management, and knowledge systems. The project was announced in March 2025. It reached a stable release in under 3 months. That timeline alone tells you something about how urgent the demand was in Europe. Do you think EuroOffice can actually challenge Microsoft at scale, or is this purely a strategic fallback? Please share your thoughts on this. It really helps me a lot with my analysis, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Here is what makes this story much bigger than just a productivity suite. Germany's federal government spent 481 million euros on Microsoft licenses in 2025. This is up 76% in just 2 years. One country, 1 year, one vendor. Across all European governments combined, the estimated annual spend on American productivity software exceeds 2 billion euros. And it's not just the cost. In June 2025, a Microsoft executive testified under oath in a French Senate hearing that the company could not guarantee data sovereignty if American authorities demanded access under the US cloud law. The testimony landed like a grenade. France's response was immediate. 2.5 million French civil servants will stop using Microsoft Teams, Zoom, and WebEx by 2027, migrating to a governmental-backed open source platform called Visio. And France went even further. It announced it was abandoning Windows entirely across government systems in favor of Linux. This is not a pilot program anymore, as people expected. This is an exit strategy that every country is joining one by one every day. Meanwhile, the German state of Schleswig-Holstein has already completed the transition successfully, which is a success project or an example for others. 40,000 civil servants migrated off Microsoft's entire ecosystem, Office, Teams, Outlook, Exchange, onto LibreOffice, Thunderbird, and Linux already. The transition cost 9 million euros. The annual savings are 15 million euros. The payback period was less than a year. The state's digital minister said the ICC email lockout made the urgency feel even more real. And by early 2026, roughly 80% of those government workstations had completed the full transition. The rest are on schedule too. If this resonated with you, please hit the like button and subscribe. This helps me a lot with the algorithms. Now, I want to be honest about what EuroOffice is and what it is not, because this channel does not traffic in hype. EuroOffice is not going to replace Microsoft 365 for most enterprise or consumers anytime soon. Microsoft has 3 decades of integration, ecosystem lock-in, and deeply embedded institutional habits on its side. The micro features, the enterprise admin tools, the deep Active Directory integration. EuroOffice does not have those yet. But here's the critical point. It does not need to win that fight as well. The same way Europe's payment system, Vero, does not need to kill Visa and MasterCard, it just needs to exist like a competitor so that European payments cannot be switched off from Washington. EuroOffice is the same logic applied to Office software. It is a sovereign fallback. And fallbacks only matter when someone actually pulls the trigger, which, as the ICC prosecutor discovered, they already have. The demand numbers confirm this. Nextcloud, the collaboration platform at the center of this coalition, saw customer inquiries triple in 2025. In the Netherlands alone, inquiries went up 8-fold. The Dutch government launched urgent reassessments of its entire digital infrastructure. Austria's Federal Ministry of Economy adopted Nextcloud. The city of Stuttgart migrated. Sweden launched a sovereign Nextcloud workspace for the Nordics. Nextcloud itself announced a 250 million euro investment program in sovereign infrastructure through 2030. The IDC Europe survey found that 45% of European organizations said their interest in digital sovereignty solutions had grown, specifically because of geopolitical instability in 2025. These are not activists or idealists making these decisions, these are procurement departments. Denmark's digitalization minister put it plainly. Europe must never make itself so dependent on so few that it can no longer act freely. So here's where I think this story goes next, and why the implications are larger than most people are tracking. By the end of 2026, I expect at least 3 more EU member states to announce formal timelines to migrate government systems off Microsoft 365. The European Commission, which is already investigating Microsoft's bundling practices around Teams and Office, will likely use EuroOffice as a leverage, not necessarily to adopt it, but to negotiate from a position where a real alternative exists. That completely changed the dynamic of any negotiations. Nextcloud's sovereign workspace will likely become the default collaboration layer for at least 5 European public sector deployments, or over 100,000 users by 2027. And within the next 12 months, EuroOffice will almost certainly ship a version with integrated AI features built on Mistral or another European model, which will come, of course, later, because AI is the next frontier where Microsoft is building lock-in, and the EuroOffice coalition knows that. Microsoft will respond, of course. It will accelerate its so-called sovereign cloud offerings in Europe, but here's the fundamental problem that a European flag on a data center does not solve. The US Cloud Act does not go away. A US court order still reaches into the server rooms. Every European procurement officer now knows that. So let's zoom out for a moment. Europe is now systematically building sovereign alternatives to American office software, email, video conferencing, and operating systems. The ICC email incident did not start this process, but it made it visible to everyone. What started as a policy conversation about digital sovereignty just became operational. Governments are not just talking about reducing dependency on American tech, they are executing on it too. Your office is one piece of that architecture, but there is a layer underneath all of this that still runs almost entirely on Amazon, Microsoft, and Google. The cloud infrastructure. And Europe is building an answer to that too. If you want to understand what that looks like and why it may be the most consequential piece of the entire puzzle, that is the video I would watch next on my channel. It is linked right in the descriptions below. If you found this analysis useful, please subscribe and like this video, because this channel tracks exactly these kinds of structural shifts before they become mainstream headlines. And drop a comment below. Do you think your office can actually challenge Microsoft at scale, or is this purely a strategic fallback? I will see you in the next one. Bye.